this it? Hey, Bill. Fine. Yeah, stand up here. Anybody else important? Get somebody important up here. Answer your answers. Come on, Ken. Yeah, make him come up here.
Any more agency heads?
All of this is in. All
Well,
of
those
this is
are
in
my
there.
remarks right there.
You want me to leave them alone?
Oh, yeah, there you
How
go.
about holding it? Y'all see this? You have not seen anything like this before. Myra Reese and her team and all these people you see here and a lot of others, we put together something called Water SC in, September of 24?
Yes, sir.
To take advantage of all the work that had been done before, studying natural resources and water specifically, because we're growing, our families are growing, businesses are growing, we got enormous natural resources, we have to protect them, and we have to grow too, and those things work hand in hand.
Yes, sir.
So we following the principle that you can't manage it if you can't measure it. So we determined we had to find out what's happening to our water. And we've measured the land. We know we got 20 million acres, and we know that my goal is to have half of that set aside, preservation, parks, otherwise, so it won't be developed. We've got millions of acres of farmland, thousands of farms. We've got mountains, oceans. We really have it all, and we need to protect that, and we need to develop our talents. But we need to know how much water we have, where it comes from, what we're going to need now, what we need in the future, how fast do we use it, how do we protect it, and all of the above. Who needs it, when they need it. It's going to take strong management and enormous planning. And so you remember we separated DHEC into one part is Department of Environmental Services, and that has enabled them to do what we anticipated, and that is they can move quickly in exactly the direction in which they want to go. And this water plan that's in this book, you strong enough to hold that?
Yes, sir. I can try. Yes, sir.
A smaller version is where it's in this one.
This one right here?
Yeah, well, but this one too.
That's one.
You will not believe the information, the wonderful information is all right here at your fingertips. And I think that this is so good, it ought to be on every PRT spot in the state. It ought to be in everybody's mountain house, beach house, at home. It is really something to see that you will be enormously proud of, and it spells great, great things for our people. So Myra Reese has been the one riding herd on all of this and has gotten it done. I issued the executive order for it to be done by December of 25, and guess what? It is done by December of 25, on time and under budget.
There you go. There you go.
So Myra Reese, if you will, please go ahead.
Okay, we're going to take this back right here. Okay. All right, good afternoon, everybody, and thank y'all so much for joining us today. And just what an honor it is to be here with Governor McMaster, Representative Hickson, and an impressive lineup of agency heads. And I appreciate Rod Devlin, one of our technical experts, being here today. Today is a great day for all South Carolinians as we present to you the updated South Carolina State Water Plan. The timing for this updated plan could not be more perfect, as the governor said. Our state is changing. We are one of the fastest growing places in the country. New families and businesses are moving in, and our towns and cities are building for the future. With that growth comes one unavoidable truth: our water resources will be tested like never before. It's critical that we protect and sustain our water resources for our families, our environment, our farmers, our businesses, and our energy needs, not just today, but for water future. By establishing Water SC, Governor McMaster prioritized balancing the state's economic, environmental, and community needs in updating South Carolina's water plan. The Department of Environmental Services, with Water SC, and support from many stakeholders across the state, was tasked with achieving this monumental goal by the end of 2025. And as the governor said, we are now bringing it to you today. So what is the state water plan? Well, it's not just a 181-page report. It's a roadmap. It's a roadmap of our water resources that presents scientific data on where we've been, where we are, and where we are heading in the future. It presents surface water and groundwater availability, shows future water use demand assessments and priorities, and prioritizes key insights from experts and stakeholders, including DES technical staff, Water SC, and the state's river basin councils. An important takeaway from this effort is effective water management starts with understanding what we have. South Carolina's water resources are abundant today, but drought, poor management, and poor planning can quickly impact our water availability. Our water resources are not limitless. They shift with the seasons and the demands we place upon them. Knowing their limits allows the state to grow responsibly, protect what matters, and remain resilient through change. Planning for the future is necessary, and it's critical. Some of you may remember the droughts South Carolina experienced from 1998 to 2002, and from 2007 to 2009. Those were considered droughts of record, meaning some of the worst droughts South Carolina has ever seen. The 2025 state plan dedicates an entire chapter to worst-case scenario drought planning to help South Carolina prepare for a potential devastating drought. Another key focus on the plan is water monitoring and planning for the future, which ultimately poses the question, do we have enough water to support South Carolina now and by 2070? The answer is yes, but only with careful monitoring, planning, and continued assessment and investment in our water resources. By the numbers, South Carolina currently uses about 5.9 billion gallons of water each day. That means we're consuming enough water each day to fill nearly 1,000 of Gaffney's famous water tower, the Peachoid. And that's just a snapshot of today. This plan sets the foundation for South Carolina to assess even more demands, as we know are coming, on its water supply. Smart management today protects our prosperity tomorrow. As we celebrate this milestone for South Carolina, we recognize there is much more work that needs to be done. Water planning never ends. That's why the state water plan is presented today will continue to evolve, and state water planning will remain a continuous process. In other words, the plan will be a living document, and the work of Water SC and the River Basin Councils will continue. Governor, I've heard you say many times South Carolina is a relationship state. We have to keep working together collaboratively and focus on additional elements of water planning. And many of these topics we covered in some of our discussions with the Water SC Working Group. Topics such as recognizing the interactive relationship between groundwater and surface water, and connecting water quantity with water quality. While we have been focused solely on water quantity, making sure enough water is at the right place at the right time, we need to also focus on water quality, making sure the available water is suitable for use. We also see opportunities to support beneficial water reuse, improve coordination with our neighboring states, and make education and outreach a priority. In short, everyone has a leadership role in South Carolina's water future. In closing, I want to thank so many people who have been part of this process. and have been instrumental for us to make it to today and to complete this task. Beginning with all of the Water SC work group members, representing the participant sectors, including farming and agriculture, public drinking water, energy, industry, tourism, forestry, conservation and historic preservation, and academia. I also want to say a big thanks to the state agencies that have provided so much support as ex officio members of Water SC, Office of Resilience, the Department of Agriculture, Parks, Recreation and Tourism, DNR, and the Department of Commerce. I really appreciate how this dedicated group, and many of y'all are here today, have been so committed to the process. It was very time-consuming and have had meetings every month for more than a year to have impactful discussions about water use and water management. I also want to thank DNR, thank you, Ken, for all of the work that was done before the planning process became our process, and also establishing the state's 8 river basin councils. Thanks to the RBC leaders, many of you I see here today, years of data collection and water management work put in by you have been important for our state and for our agency in updating this plan. And now, so Governor, on behalf of Department of Environmental Services, we want to present you the official copy of the water plan and the leadership guide. And, you really did point out, that this is a very technical document, and we wanted to really think about some things that would draw people to want to read it. And certainly they can go to that 181-page report, but they also can just pick up this leadership guide. And I think what this exemplifies is that we all have a story to tell about our water future, and that we all play a leadership role. And certainly you're the ultimate leader for our state. We appreciate what you've done establishing Water SC, and for us to finish and cross the finish line. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate all y'all doing the work. You really do need to take a look at this. You'll see things that you haven't seen in one spot. It gives you a comprehensive, easy to understand, and be proud of facts, pictures that are. I hope we have some copies of this. We have some out there.
I think we have a few, and we also have this on our website, so we'll make sure that folks have that link and can. But if anyone wants a copy today and you can't get your hands on it, let us know. Laura Renwick is here with our communications, and we will be handing these out. They're fresh off the press.
Yeah, get you a copy of this. You're going to love it. Does anybody have a question?
Hey, Governor,
Sir.
I have a question. This is a big effort, and there's a lot of information in this report. The one question I have, though, one of the questions I have is, what do we do about this? Do we need to tighten the state's water law? It's been criticized to some degree through the years of maybe not being strong enough. Depends on who you talk to, but what's your take on tightening the water law now that you have this information?
You go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I think there's several things that we talked about at Water SC, and certainly all the river basin councils for really 6 years now have been talking about the regulatory framework and all the other things that really are part of water resource management. And if you think about it, the laws that really guide us and have policies for us to follow moving forward is not only the Surface Water Act, but the Groundwater, the Drought Act, and now the Planning and Coordination Act. So we kind of look at it as a three-legged stool, and the cushion on that stool is the Planning and Coordination Act. So this is an opportunity for us, now that we have planning and permitting together, that we're going to look holistically at all of those laws. We want to not just look at surface water in a silo or groundwater in a silo or the Drought Act in a silo, but see how they interface, how they connect with each other, and try to look at a big picture as far as water resource management.
Anybody want to add something else to that? Anyone? Okay. Yes, sir.
I'm curious, I know, like you said, this is a huge plan, but I have a question about data centers. How does the water plan account for the growth in data center water needs across the state? If you have any specific
I'll start that, and then Rob, if you want to add. But when this, the modeling started that really supports the scenarios that were run over the last 6 years, we were not really talking so much about data centers, right? So that's going to be, as we continue, I had mentioned that this plan it's a living document, and it's going to continue to evolve. And as our state continues to change rapidly, and we have new things we need to be thinking about, those will provide inputs into additional modeling in the future. Do you want to add to that, Rob?
Yeah, thank you, Myra. Yes, so data centers were not on our radar back in a couple of years ago when we were doing our water projections. However, we are continuously collecting more information. Currently, right now, we're hoping that the data centers are being put in an area where there is enough water and that there is enough electricity, and that will not be a burden. But we'll know more as these data centers continue to come to our state. But I believe our leadership is helping us understand where the right places for these are and how they'll interact will be something we'll be reviewing the next couple of years.
Obviously, there are a variety of pockets in South Carolina that are just moving population-wise. But is there any particular part of the state that your agency is most concerned about as it relates to the future of this population moving out of tax water?
And I think, and if you've got some specific, I think some of the major bodies of water, we're feeling pretty good right now. But one of the things that we really focused on, and it was one of the recommendations that came out of this work, are the interbasin transfers. You know, managing water resources is so complex. I mean, it's amazing all the different factors that you need to be thinking about. So they call it IBTs, interbasin transfers. That recently came to light just based on the growth in North Carolina and the need for them to increase their amount that they're transferring from one of our basins. And we have a lot of interbasin transfers within South Carolina. So not only do we need to really be on our A game, just understanding how much is being withdrawn, how much is, how much rain, how much is being recharged back, but we need to be looking at all the amounts of water that are being transferred. And so certainly we're watching that area, but I know in the plan we had a few of the smaller areas of the state that were kind of pointed out as here's some that we're going to be taking a real close look. And I will say the great thing about water resource management, here again, you try to look at your options, looking at both surface water and groundwater. And when you have both options, you can really make sure that you're providing the water that's needed for those needs, and you can make sure that you minimize any impacts, whether it's surface water withdrawal or if they're going to aquifers and going to groundwater. Want to add to it?
I remind y'all, back in, I think it's 2006, we had to bring a lawsuit against the state of North Carolina because they were doing an interbasin transfer, or attempting to go from one side of the out of the Catawba River, from one side of the ridge to the other. We had to go to the U.S. Supreme Court to finally stop that. So this is and they of course are growing greatly around Charlotte. But this study, this analysis, and putting it all in one place gives us a way to enter into asking those questions about where is the good place to put it, where's the bad place to put it, what's going to be the impact here, where is the water, when is the water, all of those questions. This opens the door to all those sort of questions so we can maximize our efficiency, not make mistakes, and continue to have South Carolina be a beautiful place, not only to work, but to play.
Is there anything that you can see that we need to do right now through legislation to protect our water resources?
I think Myra can answer that better than I can, but I will say whatever we need to do, if there's a need, this study, this analysis, and this coordination will make it easier to understand what we need to do and how to go about doing it. That's the purpose of this. is so we'll know what we're doing instead of just going off blindly in every direction, which seems to be a pretty good idea. At the time turns out you ruined an aquifer or put something in the wrong place, right?
Yes, sir.
See that? Of course, the drought's a main one, and there's not much we can do to stop that. All we can do is to manage it. That's part of this. You want to tackle that?
Yeah, and Rob, you feel free to add some additional comments, but I think that's why it's so important for us next year. You know, I've been telling the work group members that the real work's going to start in January, because we need to start prioritizing some of those areas of recommendations and some of the issues that have been brought up. But we need to really, just be thinking through exactly what we can do, to not only make sure that water is available, but that it's good water quality. And so one of the recommendations that came out was we need to really start talking about water quality. We don't need to just look and say it's available, but is it good quality water? So I think that's going to add a whole new level and dimension of conversations. And I think there are lots of folks in our state that already are doing great work to help with water quality, but that just really completes the big picture of water resource management. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I'd just like to add, in our coastal areas, we have an abundance of groundwater, and that groundwater resources are used readily. But we also have had some areas where we've had some what we call cones of depression, and these are areas of concern. So we're managing those by either going to other aquifers or finding other sources, or what we call conjunctive use, where we use groundwater and surface water together. And when the groundwater is available, we're using groundwater, and when the surface water is available, we're using surface water. And we're trying to manage the resources in that conjunctive way, and I think that's very important that we use these conjunctive resources as well as conservation. And we've got some very good conservation and some activities we're using from water reuse, water aquifer storage and recovery. Our state's been very proactive in how we've been able to manage our resources and conserve our resources, especially in the coastal areas that have grown very fast, very quickly for a long time. We're now starting to see that spread to the upstate a little bit.
Yes, the question that I have is, you mentioned education and outreach. Are we already reaching out to send a plan to planners at the county levels and the town levels throughout the state? And then what website is available for the general public to also begin to educate themselves about the plan and on the plan itself?
And Queen Quet, I know this topic specifically was something that you have been very interested in. And I think that's going to be one of the first things we do when we get together is really come up with a very intentional strategy. Just like the governor has said, that we need to really get this plan out there. We need to be thinking about every layer, and you're right, at the local level. And that's one thing we are really working on right now is enhancing our partnerships with local government leaders and the decisions they make on a daily basis. So I'm hoping that you're going to take a leadership role when we get back at the beginning of the year. You've talked about videos, and that's something that we want to do. Like I said, this plan, it really kept us hopping, and busy for a while, and it's fresh off the press. We got to start putting the plan of action for getting it out there. And we certainly will be calling on you. Our website is des.sc.gov/watersc.
Say again.
des.sc.gov/watersc.
Any other questions?
How critical is damming, like private damming, and preserving the water, making sure that it stays environmentally sound?
You want to take that one?
Who's that for you?
So we really weren't looking at dams in our dam safety program in this particular aspect, but dams and holding water for uses such as for agriculture, recreation, and other activities are very important. Our dams program is mainly a dam safety program, protecting the downstream users to make sure if catastrophic dam releases occur that we're protecting the folks there. But we do have and since 2015 during our great flood in the Columbia area, we have really built up our dams program, and we've got a tremendous program right now, including models of what we call inundation models that look to see what would happen if these dams break, both small and large. And of course, FEMA has their own dam inundation models for the larger models. So that's a whole separate program, but it's tied in the Bureau of Water in my area, and we are very, we work hand in hand with them. So I'm not sure if that's answering all your question.
It was just about private banks and making sure people are maintaining things so we don't have a catastrophe like we had in the past, the 2015 floods and hurricanes and stuff like that.
Yes, sir. And that's one thing, even though some of those smaller dams and those impoundments are not regulated by the state, we still offer that assistance to the owners. And certainly, that's an investment to a lot of these owners. And whenever we, are dealing with an upcoming storm, we are reaching out. We have an inventory of a lot of dams, but a lot of people don't realize, I think I've heard one time that there was maybe 20,000 impoundments, which we regulate about 2,400. But if you notice, there are a lot of dams in series, and we need to be looking at that, not just looking at one impoundment, but looking at, if we have some issues, how it could kind of snowball and could impact many dams below it.
You talk about the need to focus on water quality. What are some of the biggest threats you see to water quality?
Rob, you want to take that one?
Yeah, well, we've had a really large water quality program for many, many years, including our TMDL program, which is total maximum daily loads. When we look at and see if our rivers and streams are impaired, in other words, there's some low dissolved oxygen or higher contaminants, how can we go in and help restore those back to where they were before they got impaired? So we have a good program, but as water is reduced in the streams and rivers, then the contamination that is being in the rivers will increase because of the fact that it is measured in milligrams per liter. So the less water you have, the higher the concentration is going to be. So it needs to work hand in hand, where we need to continue to try to work on unimpairing our streams, but also making sure that there's enough water in there to take care of the things that we use it for assimilative capacity and wastewater treatment discharges and other types of activities. So.
Last question, Phil Abel.
In the general public, what are requirements, like are there any tips for them to help these plans go forward? So they need to know the basic level that they do to help make sure that they're not wasting water or anything.
Yeah, and I think you've hit the thing with the wasting of the water. Conservation should be our first line of defense, and we really need to begin conserving water before we get into trouble. So, there's things like how to turn your water off when you're brushing your teeth. That sounds like just a little bit, but if everybody, if 5.2 million people do that, it does make a big difference. Learning how to irrigate your own lawn effectively, not running the sprinkler system every day or not during the winter time, and different things like that, I think could be very beneficial. And those are small things that could make big improvements in water conservation.
Thank you.
No, sir. Thank you.